Hello, my name's Kay Reeve. I'm an emotional awareness expert, and today I have had the most amazing day. And the lesson for a life lesson today is all about things can get better. In my work, in my previous videos, my TEDx talk, in my books, I talk a lot about the 12 years of depression that my son went through, very often being suicidal or having suicidal ideations. But today I have had the most amazing day. I am shattered, exhausted, but happy. My son is now 30 years old, and a few weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, we celebrated his birthday. However, his father has moved away to another country now. His sister, my oldest, was unwell with COVID. So it was a very quiet celebration with just me going over to visit. Today was my daughter's birthday. She's a couple of years older, and we kind of made up for it by having a family day. Now, this is just going to be a really, really funny story from here because things have got better for us. There are still ups and downs. Life is filled with ups and downs and challenges, but there are times when you realize it's all worth fighting through. And today was just the perfect day. So a couple of weeks back, I had to collect a huge bin bag full of presents, very strange ones, from my daughter to take to my son's for his birthday. And this triggered, so it's just really funny stories today, but this is hilarious. It triggered a series of events that have really made today perfect. So to wind her brother up for getting old and reaching 30, this big black bin bag contained a pre-inflated, inflatable walking frame, a Zimmer frame, and an inflatable walking stick, amongst other quirky presents, including a mug that had a little dinosaur in it. Once you drink the coffee, or tea or coffee, there was a dinosaur inside the mug. And so this has kind of set standards now for birthday presents going forward, apparently. My son took it all in good faith. He had a really good laugh about the presents, and we'd opened them all on camera so my daughter could see his reaction. Whilst not being well, she could at least be present on video, which is fantastic options today. So gratitude amongst the fact that the celebration was difficult, in terms of people being there. But today it was payback time. And it's great. So, if you're bringing up children and they're fighting and they're arguing, do you know what? Yes, children do to an extent. But when you learn to nurture your children in the right ways and teach them emotional awareness and empathy skills, they will eventually come through those teenage years on the upside of that. And my two get on like a house on fire now. But payback today was hilarious. So my son decided he would up the game. And instead of buying something small and inflatable, which he did, he got an inflatable chainsaw. Not quite sure why, but an inflatable chainsaw coming up Halloween, I think. But he also got us something else inflatable that he's just getting payback, and it was so funny. I'm just trying to get my gallery up because I have to show you this picture on here. It's going to be the easiest way to do it. He bought her inadvertently the best birthday present ever, right? And it was, oh, this is not working. Come back, come back, come back. He bought her, I am nearly there, bear with me, an inflatable dinosaur suit. Now, thinking she would open it and cringe, right? And thinking that they would have a good laugh about it and it might get put away. It didn't quite turn out like that. Instead, 15 minutes later, this is my daughter walking her niece to play school. And she actually took her to play school in this dinosaur suit. Oh my God, it was hilarious. We followed. And when we actually got to the school grounds, we had to pass the teachers' lounge at lunchtime. And they've got this huge glass window right along the corner of the building where we had to go past. And I tell you, it made their day. They loved it. So there's my son with his youngest child. So we talked about all the years we had these problems. He's now fully grown adult. He's happy. He's got an amazing life and two beautiful girls, but the youngest one's now in play school. So there is my son, my daughter in the dinosaur suit, and me following behind with a camera, taking pictures. And we had such a laugh going through the school. Then we're waiting outside the play school, and another teacher came out of another classroom over to one side. She's going, "Oh my God, they're right." She said, all the kids were screaming, there's a dinosaur. And she's like, "Don't be ridiculous." Because she comes out of the door to see there is actually this huge purple dinosaur out in the playing ground. So we were having a laugh with a few of the staff. But yeah, so inadvertently, it turned out that this quirky karma, because he'd actually written karma present on there, turned out to be one of the best days ever. When we got back to my daughter's this evening after picking her two children up from school, oh, it was even more fun when she put the suit on again. I was running around the house and the garden with her two for half an hour before we finally all went out for a family meal and all met up again. So we've had a great day today. But yeah, so just inspiration that today life at times can be very tough and very stressful. And it feels like there's not a lot of hope, but there is. Bear with it, hold out, because you never know when your purple dinosaur day is coming. Um, and how your kids are going to get on better in life later on, how you're going to rebuild bonds with them and stronger. And it does happen. It can happen. But to do that, to rebuild life like that after stressful teenage years when they are depressed, stressed, anxious, angry. Don't get me wrong, there are times in the past when my son has threatened me, and I know there are a lot of kids out there like that. But I knew that it was not in his intention to be mean and cruel and threaten me. It was his fear and his stress and his anxiety speaking. And he was afraid of the life ahead, right? He was afraid of what life had to offer him when he was struggling with neurodiversity and depression. Like, he really had so many things in life he couldn't grasp the concepts of. But with the emotional awareness, and I did briefly throw this in at the end with my book, Brain Unchained, this is the strategy that I finally found to teach my son to understand his own emotions. And I tell you what, once he got that, it wasn't about changing who he was. It was about finding who he was. And for my daughter too, I tell you, both my children now, they're no different than they were as teenagers, really. They're still a couple of kids. I took them on a night out in June. We went to an improv show. Oh, I've got to tell this one now. Got to tell this. I took I took my two children to an improv show in June. And I tell you, we got in the car, and for the whole 30-mile journey, they're playing Yellow Car No Return. They're aged 30 and 32 now, and they're still acting like a couple of kids. But they are both mature, responsible adults who have learnt to still embrace who they are on the inside and have fun and let life play out in the best way possible. And oh, do you know what? I'm going to save the rest of this story for another day because it ended up with my car getting re-nicknamed. Um, and there was a very funny story, but I'm going to save that one. It's a story about pirates. And that's going to be another video. But yes, embracing life for who you are and letting go of all the bullshit around about stress, anxiety, depression, and all the challenges that come with neurodiversity. And over the years, we've discovered that my son, we knew that my son was autistic spectrum. I knew all my married life that my husband was dyslexic, but it wasn't something he really challenged apart from when he had to take his exam to become a driving instructor. That was the hardest time that challenged him to study the 1,000 question bank before the exams. Um, and then my daughter developed OCD later on. We're still not 100% sure why, but my daughter's OCD. And then only 3 years ago discovered I've got ADHD. So between us, we've got quite a variety going on. But we've all learnt to accept each other for who we are, embrace who we are in ourselves, and absolutely love life when we're together, right? And that is what I want to inspire all of you to do, is to simply discover who you are, not change who you are. Because we've all got an inner child in there waiting to come out. We've all got a life we want to love and to live and to enjoy with the people around us. And that all comes down to being human, not being a robot, not being a factory produced school child, right? Not being who society tries to mold us into be, but just being our authentic selves. So if you want to understand that, there's Brain Unchained is available on Amazon. You can find out more about it first on my website, which is kreeve.co.uk. And if you're somebody who's struggling and wants to build habits around that, I also have the journal, Brain Unchained Journal, which goes with the book. And there is strategies in here for jotting down simple visual charts of your emotional resources daily and a little bit of information about your emotional journey. So that's the outtake of how I helped my children. And the outcome of today's birthday for my daughter, which was absolutely hilarious. I'll tell you, we've had so many laughs today. My tummy hurts. It absolutely hurts. We went out for lunch as well, and they were just as funny out for lunch and for tea. And it's been brilliant. And I really, really do this because I want to see so many other families out there get past all of that trauma of raising teenagers. And it's not to say teenagers are traumatic, but life is traumatic for teenagers. And that causes stress, anxiety, depression. And there's a lot of pitfalls. I'm just going to mention one last thing. A lot of pitfalls about being a teenager with all the challenges that they have through those years, where if we don't guide them right, they quickly fall into those pitfalls of smoking, alcohol, drugs, getting pregnant, getting mixed in with the wrong groups and gangs, and there is just so many pitfalls. And again, there is a course on my website called A Safe Space for Talking to Teens. And there is a lot more information in there about those pitfalls. It's a 30-minute course. And I tell you what, for 30 minutes, that can turn life around with your teenagers. And this is why I do this. This is why I've created my books, why I've created my courses, and why I do these life stories. Because I've been there with those stressful years of parenting teenagers, and I found solutions. I have the most amazing relationship with my children now, and far too many children end up being cut off from family, being distanced from them, end up being thrown out, um, end up with a very estranged relationship for many, many years afterwards. Let's turn that around and rebuild those bonds, rebuild those relationships, and get parents and teenagers enjoying each other's company again and building resilient young adults, because it is possible. That is why I do what I do, because I want all of you to have days in the future like the day I've had today, where I have followed my son taking his daughter to play school with my daughter in tow as a purple dinosaur. And then we went to lunch while my daughter was at play school. We went to lunch, my son and I, as we would have done 10, 15 years ago. And we just had the most amazing day. And I want that for all of you too. So I have gone on about this for ages today. I hope you've listened through. If you have, please drop me a link to say whether you've watched the replay. whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. But please just drop me a comment below. If you're having problems, drop a comment, we'll get back to you, or contact me via the website. Have an amazing life, seriously. And if you're not sure how to do that, reach out. We're here to get you through it. When I say we, there's me and the people in my book support group as well. So if you're not sure about that, check the link and I'll put a link to the support group. The self-help bookshelf. So that's where I'm collaborating with other self-help authors as well. I'm mentoring them writing books. There is so much going on right now, but let's work on this all together. Have an amazing life. I'm going to go to bed now because it's been a long day and I'm probably going to go and dream of dinosaurs. In the meantime, hugs and healing from me. Night night.